Hi everyone, I'm Frank Bernardo with Frank's Accurate Body Shop. We decided to make a shop tour video to help you, the consumer, know what to look for when you're trying to choose an auto body shop. This is our office area. Receptionist would sit here, and there's our customer waiting area over on that side. Understand your vehicle is probably the second largest investment you make. So it's an important decision to choose a repair facility that's properly trained, equipped to repair it properly. And this video will walk you through our shop, through all of the phases of the repair process, so you can have an understanding when you are choosing a body shop what to look for. And I can't stress enough, take a tour through any shop that you're considering, handing over the keys to your car to. You'll see a lot of pretty pictures on our competitors' websites, and what's on those website photos is not always what the inside of their shop looks like. Every photo you see on our website is taken inside our building. So off we'll go outside and give you a little tour. So this first portion of our shop, from that white car over, is what we call structural repair area. You'll see a couple of different lifts here to lift vehicles up and look at them. The white vehicle over there is a Tesla, which is an aluminum intense vehicle, and we have a curtained off area specific for aluminum vehicles to separate them. Here's a brand new Camry that sustained some damage on this side. Come on in a little closer and I'll explain a little something to you. This vehicle was impacted on this side. It's getting a new door. This is called an A-pillar. This outer panel here is a new one, was damaged, but also the inner sustained a little bit of damage here, which doesn't really look too bad. However, this piece of steel is what's called ultra high strength steel. And per the vehicle manufacturers, you cannot repair this. It's a very hard, very strong steel, and if you repair this, you would have to heat this in order to get this back into its original shape. And by inducing that heat to it, you're going to weaken it. And therefore, if this vehicle was ever in a subsequent accident and impacted on its side again, this component would not be as strong as it was originally designed. Could affect the timing of the airbags and how the crash energy is diverted or absorbed. So even though it looks pretty minor, if you don't do the research to know what type of metal this is and how to properly repair it, you can be creating an unsafe vehicle. All right, so we'll move on along a little bit. This is our car aligner bench where we put vehicles on that have structural damage to perform measuring. There's a lot of components you see hanging on the wall for that. Also, we have a three-dimensional measuring system which measures the length, width, and height of the structure of the vehicle. And you can see by this screen I have pulled up, all of these dots are measuring points, and these are measurements. Some vehicles have a tolerance of plus or minus 1 millimeter. Anything you see in red is out of tolerance. A lot of small amounts of damage are not able to see by the naked eye. So moving on to this area, this is what we call repair planning. When the vehicle comes in, we completely disassemble the vehicle to find all the damage. You also, what I mean by that is down to clips, bolts, fasteners, any item that's needed to repair the vehicle. We also have a Hunter alignment rack where we can check and perform wheel alignments. A lot of vehicles get hit in the wheel during a collision and damage suspension components, knock the alignment out. This Prowler you see here was impacted on the front. Fair amount of damage to it. Another component we have, another measuring system, is a totally different measuring system than our other one. It can measure bent suspension components, and it can basically measure any item that you can photograph. So these are two different measuring devices we can utilize to determine vehicle structure damage and individual suspension component damage. So once a vehicle like this is completely disassembled, we can submit our findings to the insurance company for approval, verify all the parts that are required, and once it's approved, it goes into the repair process. All right, we'll move on here. We also, in this area, we have two estimators. We've designed and built these mobile estimating carts, so the estimator can roll up to the vehicle with the technician, and as they're disassembling the vehicle, they work in concert with each other to get all the damage identified and on the repair estimate. As we move through a little bit here, we have some Hunter tire and wheel equipment. As I said before, a lot of vehicles get damaged on the wheel and tire, and to the visible naked eye, it's hard to detect. So these machines help us determine if a tire has damaged internal steel belts, bent wheels, things of that nature. And we also perform all of our mounting and balancing here in-house. We also do all our own glass work. Cody, if you can pan on the wall back there. Those repair planning tools are a variety of tools, mostly glass removal and installation tools. A lot of body shops will sublet out glass work, alignments, tires. We don't like to do that. We can perform it faster internally, and we can control the quality of it. We don't have to rely on another business or vendor to perform things properly, research the procedures, etc. All right. This Cadillac, this is our detail bay. We just finished repairs on this, and it's about to get cleaned and detailed and ready for delivery. You see it's well lit, so we can see any imperfections in the paint. All of our cleaning and supplies are in this area. This is our parts area. You can see each rack is dedicated to an individual vehicle, and each one has identification to what vehicle it belongs to. You can see some of the parts are wrapped in plastic to protect them from any damage. We use a bucketing system. As you see, this one is red, this one's green. Red means replace, green means R&I, which means remove and install. So it's crucial that we keep those parts separated. It's easy to identify them. And when parts arrive, this is where they're inventoried. We do what's called parts mirror matching. We roll that parts rack over here with all the old parts and actually mirror match them to the new part so that we eliminate that wrong part the day the car is being put together. We also have a separate section over there to the left for our returns. Some parts require a core charge, like that bumper has to go back to the dealer. And as we move through this area, as you can see in the foreground, our paint spray booth. So once vehicles are painted, they come out of the paint booth in these two stalls in what's called reassembly. This vehicle, come walk around this way, sir. This vehicle has had some damage to the rear door. And we have a lot of special racks that we use to hold parts while we're repairing them. It was more beneficial for us to take the door off the car and just bring the door into the paint booth rather than bring the whole vehicle into the paint booth. It helps with that paint smell that gets in the car. Whenever we can do that, we try to do that. But this one, once it's the door's put back on it and reassembled, the device you saw sitting at the front is a scan tool. It will be scanned for the computer. Whenever we unplug electronic components during repairs, those can set trouble codes. So after we completely reassemble car, we perform another scan called a post scan, and we make sure if there are any codes, they're removed and addressed. A lot of storage things we also utilize are these large storage containers for smaller, delicate parts. And as you can see, some of them have an E, which means empty, and some of them have a piece of tape with an RO number on it. So those go to a specific vehicle. So once they come out of the booth and ready for reassembly, these parts are already in that area and identified, so they can just grab this tub, and we use these. This is actually a little mobile workstation, so they can roll this to the car and have a little work area to work on. Also, you see door trim panels. They're tagged and identified what vehicle they go to and stored in a manner where they won't be damaged. We do not store any parts inside of a vehicle at all. No tolerance for that. Zero tolerance for that. We don't want to lay things on people's seats and possibly damage stuff. So everyone here understands we have a lot of storage mechanisms in place, so we don't put parts inside of vehicles. So we'll move on. This Camaro is in final QC. Once we check over it, make sure everything's good to go, it will go out front. And these racks you see over here are vehicles that are back in the refinish area. So when they come out the paint booth, that is another storage mechanism. And as you can see, they're tagged and identified. As we move back here to our refinish area, this BMW is getting a new bumper. It's just finished reassembly, and it's about to be reinstalled on the vehicle. And as cars enter this area, this is what's called our paint mixing room. This is where we look up paint formulas for the vehicle, mix the actual paint that we're going to use to spray on it. And it is attached to the paint spray booth, which that other door you see in there allows them to go in the spray booth from the mixing room. Okay, so as vehicles enter this area, they will get the final minor repairs done and start the paint preparation process. This area you see here that is curtained off is called a paint prep deck. The parts in here are being prepared for paint. So they would get any sanding, priming, and final preparations done in here. Then this track system we have, the vehicles actually slide over. And the silver vehicle over there is about to go into the paint booth. It's next up to refinish, and these are a couple of its parts. And we'll cut through here. This paint preparation area, there's federal laws that require us. We cannot spray any paint primer over 3 ounces out in an open. It has to be done in an enclosed area. And what this does, if you look up, the filters above us, air flows in those filters, straight down through the filters in the floor. So anything that's sprayed in here is suppressed down into the floor, and these filters in the floor catch that, and then it's exhausted out. Right, walk over. Another thing we have throughout our shop is a central vacuum system. It's plumbed throughout the whole shop, and these devices have a micro switch, and we have special tools that they plug a hose into here. Connect it to the tool, so when they're sanding, all that dust is captured at the source, which creates a cleaner facility. It's better for the technicians using it, and it also helps keep your vehicle clean. So we'll walk through here. So this vehicle, once it's prepped, will roll in here. This is the bed and tailgate for the red vehicle that we saw out there. If you come on this side and take a peek this way, Cody. We put a new bedside panel on this truck and did some repairs to the tailgate. And this was painted yesterday. So once everybody gets to work this morning, they will untape this, do their final inspection on it, make sure there's no defects in it. And then this will roll out the spray booth. That's the vehicle's parts rack with its parts on it. And it will be reassembled here Once it's reassembled, it will get a final QC inspection. We verify all the taillights are working, final scan to make sure there's no trouble codes. Anything related to what we've worked on, we verify that it's working. Then after there, it will get a test drive if it's needed, and it will go out and then be staged for detail. So this is a little tour of our shop. And again, I can't stress enough, if you're looking for services of a collision repair business, to take a tour through any shop that you are considering handing over the keys to. Vehicles have become very complicated, and researching procedures is critical to a safe, proper repair. So I hope this educates you a little bit on what to look for. If you have any further questions or anything, please feel free to reach out to me. You can locate us through our website. My email is listed on there. Any questions, reach out to us, and be safe out there, and we look to hear from you. Thanks.